Right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening from South Africa, and good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Yaliwe Soko, and I chair the United Africa Blockchain Association. I'm very excited to be hosting this AMA today because we'll be talking about virtual learning in South Africa. We'll be talking about the opportunities and the insights. And I'm joined today by two teams. The first team is HVAC-R, EDU, and I also have a BioFi team here today. So please kindly introduce yourselves, introduce your companies, and also just a little bit about what the audience should expect from this AMA today.
Chris, why don't you go first?
Okay, I'll go first. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or midnight, whatever time it is in your zone. I'm Chris Compton. I'm the CEO and founder of HVACR which is an online training program for, like it says, HVACR and refrigeration technicians. We have been in existence for 27 years. We have a large audience throughout the Northern Hemisphere in the U.S., and we also do, I think, significant work in the African continent. We've been there and continue to be there on a semi-regular basis, and would like to be there more often. So we have a very extensive program that amounts to 2,300 hours of educational content specifically for HVAC and refrigeration. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I'm Todd, Todd Clare. I work here at HVACRDU. Known Chris for quite a long time. We go way back, and it's been a little over a year that I've been working with Chris, alongside Chris, at HVACRDU. Before that, I've grew up doing heating and air conditioning, and as well as some refrigeration, a little bit of industrial refrigeration as well. Taught at some local community colleges, and then I landed here at HVACRDU. Happy to be here. My main title is the HVACR subject matter expert, or SME, and I wear a lot of hats here, from helping out students, whether it's faculty, whether it's student services, whether it's development. But I love what I do and enjoy what I do at the same time. And I'm excited about what we have to offer and the 3D interactive training that we are bringing to the table. Thanks for having us, Leeway.
Thank you so much, Chris and Todd.
Brian, you're up.
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Great. Thank you so much, Leeway, for the opportunity to talk here today and introduce Biometric Financial and work with the HVAC-R EDU team. This is quite an incredible opportunity, and we're so excited about the learning platforms and especially the launch of the Phoenix X across Africa. And we see this as just an amazing time in the growth of Biometric Financial and the work that we're doing together to get the word out and deliver an incredible platform of learning and education. HVAC-R EDU represents a play in the metaverse, which is just incredible. It offers a learning opportunity which is unrivaled and unmatched anywhere else. And being the largest HVAC-R educational online facility in the world, they offer incredible and amazing education, which really helps lift people up. So we're very excited about that. We're very excited about this AMA and working together with you and with HVAC-R EDU in the future. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Benedict. I'm the COO at Finovant and the BioFi project, co-founder. It's great to be here, great to have the audience, and we really look forward to working together some more with the HVAC-R team and Yaliwe and talk about how we can bring some educational efforts together to the African continent. So I'll be brief, and I'll put David on. Now, I know David has been having some camera issues. We'll see if we still have his audio, and he can introduce himself. So, David? Okay, David, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Try one more time, please. Okay, looks like we're having trouble with David's technical setup here. David is our lead designer on the HVAC-R efforts that we're doing in the metaverse. So David is really the genius behind what we're putting together as far as the modules go, and how they look, how they operate, and how we develop that real life experience in a 3D world for people who are taking the HVAC-R training. So, David, hopefully we get you squared away. Keep trying. I'm going to hand the mic back to you, Yaliwe, and we'll get started. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for those introductions. And so 3 things actually caught my attention during the intros. So I think we spoke about refrigeration, which is a very important component on the African continent, because I think it's fundamental that every person on the continent needs a fridge, right? Whether you're keeping food from spoiling, for medicines, for the hospitals, a lot of things need refrigeration. So that's a very important aspect that we've touched on. I know Brian mentioned the metaverse. There's been a growing interest on the continent regarding the metaverse. We're looking at the banking sector, trying to learn how they can interact with the metaverse for better service delivery. We're talking about different educational institutions. So that's also something that is of interest. And also virtual learning. I think virtual learning became very big, especially during COVID-19. Because I don't know if you're aware, we had crazy lockdowns in South Africa. So everything had to be done virtually. Even people who didn't know what Zoom was, now understood that they can attend church on Zoom. They could attend classes on Zoom. So it actually became a very important component of the African continent, and actually how we do a lot of things, from business, school, to church, you name it. So maybe I'll just pose this question to the HVAC-R team. So it's maybe talking about refrigeration. Can you just speak to the audience on the fundamental principles of refrigeration, and how that actually applies to the African continent from your experience?
Well, I could take that, Chris, if you wish. But the fundamentals of refrigeration are simply of that, just moving heat, taking heat from where it is. Could be in a refrigerator, could be in a walk-in freezer, could be in an industrial building. Take that heat from where it is, and we move it to where it's unobjectable, typically outside. And in that process, there is a lot of different gas laws involved, and we won't go into those gas laws. So we're not going to. That's not what this is. It's not a course, but at the same time, there's a lot of thermodynamics going on there. Okay, and pressure goes where it is to where it's not. And in that refrigeration cycle, we take the heat from inside through the refrigeration, carry it outside, and we expel that heat to the outside. And we take the cool refrigerant and we bring the coolness inside through a process of thermodynamics and very interesting science, nonetheless. But the beauty about the refrigeration cycle is we're able to keep, as Yaliwe, you mentioned, pharmaceuticals, food, your typical household refrigerator, all of those items safe, and we can keep them refrigerated. And it's quite an interesting process. And the way this, it's you mentioned a great on point that it's critical. If in the industrial side you have industrial refrigeration where it's housed before it gets shipped to the grocery store, the supermarket, and in doing so, it's a critical process. If one of those goes down, we could have that entire warehouse spoil that food, and millions and millions of dollars is thrown or flushed down, and that's not a good thing. So it's a very critical part, and it's very important. Some people take it for granted.
Thank you so much,
I
Todd.
would just add on.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I would just add on that the cold is an absence of heat. That's a pretty simple concept.
Indeed. Oh, Chris, it looks like you muted there.
Oh, yes, Chris, I think we lost you there somewhere. I remember
Well,
you saying the cold is absence of heat. That's
cold
the
is
last.
Cold is an absence of heat, and basically, in order to get to true zero, we'd have to be negative 460-degree Rankine or 200 negative 273 Kelvin. That's a very cold. That's at that point is where molecular motion ceases to exist. But at the same time, as Chris mentioned, it's cold is the absence of heat. We remove that heat, and we can make something cold.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So just maybe thinking about that, right? We're looking at Africa, and Africa is two things. It's actually mostly very hot, right? And another thing is that we've got, especially in South Africa right now, experiencing what we call load shedding, which is hours of power cuts, right? And it affects a lot of things. It affects refrigeration and all those things. And looking at your educational programs, right, how has that been designed to help the African continent and also the challenges that we are facing right now? We're talking about the heat, we're talking about the load shedding, right? Because, and also another component is that when we think fridges, we think importing already, finished products, not a lot of education around the continent. So just all of those things, what have you put in place?
Chris, want me to take that? Okay, looks like Chris might be froze up again. So load shedding and
well, it's
and
yeah.
go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so I had Africa is a very bright spot for solar. Solar is one of the answers. The other answer is, offsite generator. There's the issue with refrigeration is that it needs electricity. There's also other aspects to refrigeration called absorption systems, which they still need electricity, but the primary heat is moved by a chemical process, where the chemical process needs heat, which can be gas-fired, that kind of thing, to create a cold environment. So there's other options. Ideally, electricity is the main option, but as you say, Africa is a hot spot, and I know that solar is coming on to Africa quite heavily, which is a good thing for everybody. So at the end of the day, you still need a power source.
And I might add, also interject that the efficiency, as technology improves and increases, so does efficiency. And that efficiency, you can have a bunch of, one or two really inefficient motors or refrigerators, but on the flip side, it would take just as much electricity as 10 really very efficient refrigerators. So as technology grows, the efficiency becomes much better.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for that. I think somebody wanted to say something.
Efficiency. That's one of the big issues about training. Is you can have a refrigeration system running and doing the job, but it can be very inefficient energy-wise. So one of the biggest issues of training of technicians is to make them aware of how to tune up the system to the most efficient operation, using less energy to achieve the same results. And that's probably one of the most critical issues out there, is the ability of the technicians to understand what a good system running is versus what it could be.
Optimizing the system.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chris and Todd, for that. So I think we'll just move over to the BioFi team. So maybe can you just speak about BioFi Interactive and obviously how that is helping with HVAC-R growth in Africa? And Brian, maybe to reference you here, I think you mentioned something about you mentioned the Phoenix X. How does that play a role in this entire growth of this education?
Yeah, that's a great question. Chris, do you want to take the first half of that?
Sure. So BioFi Interactive, how does it help? And I'm gonna have David jump in on this real quick now that he's connected. But what BioFi Interactive does, it gives us the ability to take training, to take information into markets and use the device itself. It's been a real passion of ours to make sure that not only do we deliver great services and great solutions, but we want to help people understand how to best use them, how they can use them in a way that works for them in their life, no matter where they are on the planet. Is it in the States? Is it in Africa? Is it in Asia? So we're very focused on the end user and making it easy for people, safe and effective. So BioFi Interactive it grew out of our desire to have some entertainment in the space, but we knew that we could leverage that. And once we learned more about the development of materials and things within that metaverse, within that hyper realistic space, that we knew we could apply that to educational efforts. So before we go back to Brian to talk about the Phoenix X, I'm going to go to David for a second. And David, just talk a little bit about what you're developing in the metaverse that can help people around the world in educational efforts. Oh no, he froze. Well, we're going to keep trying. I'll give him another second and then we'll toss it to Brian. David, are you there? Okay. Brian, you're up.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I just want to make sure mine's not going out. Yaliwe, that's a fantastic question. And one of the things that, we're just so excited about when we look at HVAC-R EDU and what they're trying to do in the metaverse and building out this training capability, it has such an effect on people across the continent of Africa, because these types of jobs are high-paying jobs. These are high-skilled jobs. These are the type of jobs that many people want to have. And the way that you get there is you have to learn about the technology. You have to learn about the engineering behind it. You have to be able to study a little bit of math. And, DC, the CEO of HVAC-R EDU, Chris Compton, we call him DC. DC said this really well one day in a meeting. He said, this HVAC-R EDU is a thinking man's game. And he's absolutely right, because it takes some thinking, it takes some effort to figure out what's going on in a heating or cooling or refrigeration system. And if we look at the refrigeration systems across Africa and all of the electrical issues that are happening there, I'll even turn to Chris to talk about load shedding. I think he got a dose of load shedding here a couple of weeks ago. But that electricity issue is causing all kinds of problems for the units that are running. So how do you train up people? How do you train up in thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, to learn about the industry? Well, you can send them a book, you can put them on the internet and have them read a web page. But what really does the trick is to be doing this in the metaverse, to do this hands-on, to touch the machine, to be able to look at the wires, to be able to use a tool and interact, a tool that could cost a lot of money for somebody to buy. And you can actually use it online in the educational flow. And then you have experience, real world experience, using the tool on a machine, which is a digital twin. Imagine this, Yaliwe, a digital twin of a refrigeration unit that somebody could be learning how to fix, how to maintain, how to install. All of these things are incredible. And you don't have to worry about cutting your finger on the edge of the metal or having a gouge in your leg, moving a machine around. These are things that you can do online, learning, getting your skills honed and getting better at it. And all of this can be provided through the Phoenix X platform. So this is why we're so excited. HVACR EDU provides a way to do this through incredible education on a platform that's cost effective for everybody to access. And so for this, for Africa, we're very excited.
That sounds very exciting. Thank you so much, Chris and Brian, for that. Maybe let's just talk a little bit about, maybe before I go into that, Chris, do we have any questions from the audience?
I've reached out. I have nothing yet. Waiting to hear.
Okay, so I think we can continue. So let's talk about rural Africa, right? I'm very passionate about education, inclusion. So what are you putting in place, whether it's from the BioFi team or from the HVAC-R team? What are you putting in place to make sure that people in rural Africa are included and also they have these opportunities and they can learn and develop skills and if eventually get employed? Because what's happening, let me give you a scenario. What usually happens is that people from rural Africa, their dream is to move into the city, right? To go and look for opportunities. But now, even if they come into the city without the necessary skills, it's very hard for them to get employment. So is there any partnerships that you've put in place? What is it that you're working on that could include those people in rural Africa?
Well, I can't speak to rural Africa itself.
It's a challenge.
I personally can't. I have never been to rural Africa. However, my in-laws have, and I know a little bit about it. But what the beauty of this platform is, amongst other competition platforms, is you don't need anything other than a generic PC with some form of internet connection. If you have that, you have the ability to use this online interactive training of what's available. And in doing so, you don't need a fancy headset. You don't need, a fancy gaming computer. Will it improve the quality of it? Sure. But you don't need it. And to expand upon what Chris and Brian were saying about, using this tool, you can do it in a safe manner without getting electrocuted. You can make mistakes. You can try again. All these things are the beauty about online virtual reality type training. And I encourage individuals to make mistakes because guess what?
The whole idea of them. Yes,
Chris, please go ahead.
make your mistakes. Make your mistakes while you're training. The whole idea in the first place of developing this program 27 years ago was access to training, and that today is still the main event. 24/7 access. You study when you have time. Everybody's got a life. Everybody's got to do this and everything else, but it's all about access.
I think I like the term access. I think it's all about access. So
Yeah, well, it's
please go ahead. I think Todd, you wanted to say something.
I think that was Chris.
Okay, Chris.
well, it's even here in the United States, access is limited to quality training, and so it's that goes times 10 in Africa, I would assume.
Okay, yes. I think I'm thinking access. I'm thinking 24/7 access, and I want to pose this question to either Chris or Brian from the BioFi team, and we'll go back to the phone, right? I know Todd had mentioned something about a PC. Obviously, if we're talking about rural Africa, maybe there could be a PC in one center, right? A central place, and people have to walk to that place. But I think if we talk about access and with the Phoenix X, I know Brian and Chris have been mentioning about, what the Phoenix X is and what kind of access it can give to those people, especially when it comes to places that have got minimal access to electricity, right? Obviously, there is maybe a cell phone tower somewhere where they can get a phone and a SIM card, and they can buy data and be able to get into class, and they can do it at their own time. So maybe if I can get either Brian or Chris to just speak into that and just maybe let the audience know what they've put in place to give people access.
That's a really excellent question, and I know Brian and I both have a lot to say on this one. So I'll start. The Phoenix X was designed. This particular model was designed specifically for Africa because we're aware of the load shedding issues, in South Africa and across the continent. So the device itself actually is a little bit larger than perhaps your typical smartphone. But we did that to put a larger battery in it. We wanted it to have more capacity to get through those load shedding events. It's a fact of life, and people have to plan around that. So the device itself has that larger battery capacity to get you through those load shedding events. So access, to your point, Yaliwe, is really critical. So people can, if there's a cell tower, as long as they can connect, they can get that access 24/7. That's why this device is very important, because it's a fully functioning smartphone. It's an Android based. It's got all the capabilities of any other Android device out there at a very low price point. That's what also brings access to more people than have had it in the past. And we're talking about a sub $200 phone in the African market that is fully featured, fully functional. It's not a feature phone where you press buttons, right? You now have access to the internet and to information from around the world. So we'll be working with the HVAC team to take the modules that we're developing together. Right now, there's a lot of graphics. It's graphic intense, so it may need a computer or a PC. But we're going to develop with them a light browser version, so that that same content can be delivered without using so much data and that without using so much airtime. So yeah, it's a model that specifically works for Africa. It'll work around the world, but because of the load shedding and because of the the access for people who may not have a lot of funds, a lot of money, we need to make it it's critically important to make sure we can deliver that content in an affordable way when and where people want it.
Yeah, and I would add, Yaliwe, that actually a very insightful question that you're asking there. And it occurs to me as we're talking here that, maybe what we look at doing to make it easy for the rural Africans to access this training is between us and HVAC-R EDU. Maybe the modules come with a data plan. Maybe we have a way of saying, hey, take the training, and as part of the pricing of it, we include enough data access to gain access to the program. And then, through the certifications, there's a certification process that takes place upon completion. But there's probably a way that we could have a complete package that can be purchased that covers all of these expenses. This way, the training and everything comes out as one nice, complete, and easy thing for a family to purchase, or an aspiring technician who wants to get into the field. Just imagine all of the great jobs that can be developed across the continent of Africa with this type of education. These are just wonderful jobs. There are great jobs in the United States. There are great jobs in Mexico and South America. There are great jobs in Southeast Asia. These are fantastic and great jobs in Africa. And it would be so wonderful to be able to reach as many people as possible with this technology. The Phoenix X provides a way to do it, and with a proper data plan and registration in the right courses, we could help a lot of people with this. So I think it's a very insightful question, and something that we should work with HVAC-R EDU on coming up with a special program for Africa.
Absolutely. I actually love that, Brian, because I think it changes everything, right? And most importantly, courses like this are courses that people pay a lot of money for. To get access, you'd get this course at a university level. But I mean, having access to this on a mobile device or maybe on a computer, that's very different. And I think I love the partnership, the access that comes with it. So maybe just this question, and it's a question that might come from the audience as well. How do people get involved? How do they participate?
The easiest way is to go to our website, which is right behind me, hvacredu.net. David, I know you're sharing, you have the ability to share screens if you have the ability to pull it up. If not, I could pull it up. I have it on my screen, and I can go to that as well. Let's see here. Can I share my screen? Let's see here. I don't know if it'll let me. And I think it's there, right there. Perfect. Do you see my screen there?
Hold on. I think
Oh,
I
there we
had it up. There you go.
Okay. So if you go to our website, hvacredu.net, this is a pop-up, and hey, guess what? There's a free trial. You can download the 3D interactive HVACR training. Just a pop-up. You can pull it up there. You can go to our website and you can find out, contact customer service, all these other information up here. And this is the best thing. We have a lot of course offerings, from commercial refrigeration, building automation, boiler, apprenticeship programs, to much more advanced courses. There's a lot of information here that you can get, or you can just simply click on find out more right there, dead center in the screen. You click on that and it'll get you to filling out a form to, hey, I want to speak to an advisor. Put your name, what your question is, your name, email address, phone number, if you have one, and you submit, and somebody will be in contact with you. If you have specific questions, you fill it out there. You can also give us a phone call, and go from there. Does that answer your question, Yaliwe?
I got a better idea.
All right, go for it,
I
Chris.
got a better idea.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I have scholarshiped students in Africa in the past. Full ride scholarship. What the issue is, and so you're talking about rural Africa, all right? What the issue is the cost of training, all right? I don't think that the level of income is very significant in rural Africa, or in other places in the continent. I would be happy to scholarship for a period of time to get it going. I've always thought that. I've been in this game for a long time, but it needs to be set up with the interaction with somebody or an agency or whoever that has the ability to promote that kind of a thing. And I would also suggest that we set up a companion website specifically for Africa. That's just, these are some of my thoughts that I've had over the years.
That's amazing to hear, Chris. And I think that's something that would be very welcome on the continent. I think it takes away a lot of the hardships, right? Especially, most importantly, the access that we spoke about. So that is something that we would be looking forward to seeing. And I think we're almost coming to the end of our AMA today. I don't know if there are any last words that you'd like to leave for our audience, how they can reach you, how they can maybe participate in different initiatives that you have within your organization. Please do share so that we can have the continent buzzing with this information and also reaching out respectively.
Sure. I'll jump in on that. I'd like, if you want to know more about Biometric Financial or BioFi Interactive, it's very easy to do. I'm going to share a screen here with you. Here we go. The first thing is, if you go to biometricfinancial.org, you can learn more about the project itself just by scrolling through who some of our what our solutions are, what some of our providers and partners are, including HVAC-R. There's also a referral button here at the top that we have on all of our screens. If you know a project or a business or someone who might benefit from engaging with us, if you give us a referral, you can actually earn BioFi. If that company or that person ends up doing a deal with us and becomes one of our providers, you could get paid out in BioFi. Nice, generous payout for bringing value to the ecosystem. As far as getting in touch with us in other ways other than our website, we have a great active community on Telegram called the BioFi Community. Please get involved there. The community is great in answering questions about the project and what we're doing, what we've done in the past. And on Twitter, of course, you can get us on @Finovant. So there's a lot of ways to learn what's going on. Actually, on the website, if you sign up for our monthly newsletter, is a great way to learn what's going on in summary fashion. Every month, we send out a nice summary of what we've done, the AMAs we've had, the deals that we've signed, and any progress that we've made on our timeline. So that's another great way to get information. And I see we have a question in, so I'm going to put that up. It's for the HVAC team. It says, are you planning to have the entire HVAC certification as virtual learning? So I'll throw that out to, did we lose Todd? We may have lost Todd there.
Todd got kicked
Yeah,
out.
we
Looks
did.
like we lost Todd.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah,
You're up, Chris.
I kicked him out. No. Yeah, we do that every day. The entire certification program is as virtual learning. Yes. Simple
So
answer.
to dovetail off of that, we are working actively with the HVAC team to take more modules and make more of the training come into the metaverse type of virtual learning. So everything they deliver today is virtual, it's online. We're now taking that and changing the format of that on a module by module basis, not only in English, but in Spanish. So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to take that great virtual content and move it into the metaverse so that it's a little more interactive.
That's right, Chris. And on that note, we aren't taking the entire whole curriculum and putting it in virtual reality. No, we're taking key components out of the practical, what you learned virtually, remotely, and then developing a virtual component of what you learned in the practical virtual or remote course.
Yeah, one thing I would also like to add to this, Yaliwe, is that interestingly, the work of HVAC-R EDU also crosses multiple boundaries for language. So I would ask the audience that watches this live today and the audience that will watch this in the future, keep an eye on the social media channels for HVAC-R EDU and BioFi, and look for some big announcements, some very big announcements coming up soon on additional language support. It's going to be amazing. And I think you guys are going to be very happy to see what's happening in the area of adding another language.
Thank you so much, Brian. I thank everyone for those words. I don't know, Chris, if we can check once more if we have any questions from the audience.
No new questions, but we've connected to David's workstation. Although we can't see and hear David, he's connected. Oh, there we go. Right, he's
yes.
doing a little demo of the module that we've put together with HVAC-R EDU, and it shows what a technician would see or what a student would see in this particular module, which is about detecting leaks in an HVAC system. So this is what the environment looks like. It's a little choppy because because of all the streaming we're doing, but when you do it directly, it's nice and smooth. It's a great interactive environment, and it will guide the students through the module one step at a time, and they will, as they diagnose what's going on with a system and why it's not performing properly.
And just so you know, Leeway, if the audience does have questions, feel free to reach out to us via email or any other means of communications. We're here to and happy to answer any questions that might arise.
Thank you
Yes.
so much for that. Thank you, David. I think that's actually shown a lot on what the audience should expect, and it's very helpful. Thank you for that demo. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. It was a pleasure hosting you, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Yaliwe.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.